Twinnies. Oh, hello.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Good.
What a lovely surprise.
Yes, it is, and it's nice seeing you too.
Chris and his little helper Sandy are about to get their first case for the day.
Hang on, sorry, there's just a kitten.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Bridget and Paula are two real characters who live on the Sunshine Coast, devoting their lives to rescuing seabirds.
We just wanted to be in contact with you to see if you can fix our cormorant's beak.
Okay. How's she feeling, you know?
I think she's roaring to go.
Yeah. The last time I saw the twinnies was when I went up to treat someone very dear to them, Johnny, the pelican.
Good luck, kiss.
Yes, and you've been a little brat, so you've ended up being a beautiful pelican.
There's no doubt you'll never meet two people like this. Their passion and their desire to make every bird's life better, it's just inspiring. What's the story with the cormorant? So
Well, we've had Beaky for a few months.
Yeah.
Now, and he's got a half the top of his beak missing.
Okay. Can you send me some photos?
Yes, we already have sent you some photos.
So they're in my email.
Yes.
Oh, here they are. Oh, wow. That's quite serious, twinnies. When I first see those photos, it's hard not to be taken aback by what I'm looking at. The very fact this bird is still alive with a problem like this is remarkable, because out in the wild, they find it incredibly hard to survive, even just for a few days. That top beak there's really only about a third of it there,
Yeah.
and it's kind of been ripped out. Twinnies, this isn't easy.
I know it's not easy, but that's why we've come to you, Dr. Chris, because you're the best.
Oh, you might have found something that's going to trip me up here. There's no doubt this is a tough one. I mean, fixing something that's broken is hard enough, but fixing something that's not even there, I mean, where do you begin? Well, see, I haven't seen one of these before, but I know someone that has.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
And so potentially there might be something I can do.
We know that you can do it. We know. It's in our hearts that you can.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye. I mean, that is a tricky one. The beak is so important to a bird, and to have one that's missing essentially half or 2/3 of a beak, it's a big issue. But how do you say no to two of them? One maybe, but two? Not a chance. Right. Let's get to work. Surely the twinnies aren't that hard to find. They're always going to be with the birds.
After a plea for help from the twinnies, Chris has travelled to the Sunshine Coast to see what he can do for badly injured cormorant Beaky.
Hello.
Hello, Chris.
How are you?
Good.
Guessing this is for me?
That's right.
The twinnies are like old friends now. I've tried to find a difference between the two in the past and I've failed. And this time, looking at them, they're still absolutely identical. How are you, Bridget?
I'm Paula.
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm sure you just say it the
No,
other way around.
Thomas, I'm
I got it wrong?
Bridget. Yes.
Every single time I do this, I always get it wrong. Maybe they're just messing with my mind. I pride myself in getting that right.
50-50.
I'm better than that. I'm going to get it right every single time now. Okay, now where's Beaky?
You can be able to see
there he
him as you get close.
Yeah, I
there
can see
he
from
is.
here, at the back there.
Yes.
Bridget and Paula are currently caring for a number of injured seabirds, but it's a cormorant missing half his beak that's the reason for the SOS to Chris.
It's quite beautiful, isn't he?
The twinnies were shocked when they first saw Beaky after he was found washed up at a nearby beach resort.
He's just one lucky bird. I reckon in a week's time he wouldn't have made it.
So obviously he can't feed naturally with that beak there, like that, can he?
Like when he does, he struggles with picking it up.
So he strikes at it, but
misses
there's no
it.
hook on the end, obviously.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then all the other birds get it before he.
A cormorant really relies on their beak for every minute of every day of their lives. It's almost like the Swiss Army knife of bird beaks. If I can't come up with a solution for Beaky's beak, then he can't feed for himself, he can't defend himself, and he can't keep himself free of parasites. Okay, well, let's go in for a closer look. Can you guys maybe cover that side there? Just hold there and we'll come around this way. Beaky senses very early on that he's the one I have my sights on. He's trying to avoid the corner, but I've blocked off both exits. Now's my time to move in.
He's passed.
Yeah. I just couldn't scoop up against that net there. Beaky is away and scampers to the far end of the enclosure, somehow looking a bit more confident than he was before. Now he knows what I'm up to here. Beaky goes one way, I anticipate it, go that way, block that path, then he goes the other way, the net comes down, we have Beaky. But a lot about you.
He's got beautiful eyes.
He does, and he's using both of them on me right now. This is the first time I've actually seen the beak close up in real life. And, I mean, there's a kind of a jagged stump there. Okay, well, let's get him inside.
Yes.
And we'll have a proper look at this beak. And then from there, we'll see what we can do.
Yes.
This is a really good example of how photos sometimes don't do a true situation justice. Because looking at this beak now, the base of it is actually quite jagged. And now I've seen just how narrow and how pointed this beak is. Wow, we're right up against it. So I'm just looking around the base of this beak here. If you look, importantly, we've still got our nostrils there. Little airway openings are still intact. It's telling us that we do have a relatively healthy tissue here.
That's good.
But the problem is, the beak isn't showing any signs of growing back.
With no noticeable beak growth on Beaky's top beak, it ultimately falls down to me to come up with some sort of solution to replace that entire top beak. How do you do that? I hope I know, but I'm not sure I know.
Oh, poor darling.
Before we get too excited by any potential fix to his problem, I do want to make sure that he's up to it.
Yes.
And that he is strong and he is healthy.
Yes.
On the Sunshine Coast, Chris wants to give Beaky a full health check before tackling the cormorant's beak problem.
Oh, poor darling.
His heart rate sounds all right. Certainly strong.
Strong.
His breath sounds are nice and clear.
So everything's feeling and sounding good internally, but just as I'm holding Beaky, something jumps out at me. Literally jumps out at me.
Oh, there it is. Oh, and there's one there, Bridget. It's going up into the hair.
Oh yeah, I'm now crawling with lice. Because guess who gave them to me? Beaky.
You know, I've got a lot in common, you know, Beaky. Look at these lice though. I mean,
Yes.
that's the problem with not having that beak to comb through your feathers, isn't it? Look at all those. Each one of these lice is going to start to draw upon his reserves.
Yes.
So let's treat them right away.
Beaky's lice problem is easily fixed, but now the pressure is on for Chris to come up with a solution for the missing beak.
Really, the shape of this beak is my biggest challenge because it is very long and it's very skinny. When you have something like that, it's not very able to withstand forces. It can very easily snap, just like the original one did.
Yes.
So far I've been really careful to make sure I haven't got the twinnies' hopes up unnecessarily, but obviously I came up here with a plan. It is going to sound pretty bizarre, and I'm just hoping right now the twinnies are going to be up for it.
So, I guess the inspiration for my idea comes from when I was a boy.
Yes.
And one of my first memories is of Percy the pelican.
Oh, wow.
And he lost his beak in a very similar way to the way Beaky has. And what my dad did when I was a boy was actually got one of the local surfboard manufacturers to make a completely artificial beak out of fiberglass.
Wow.
And it was then attached to Percy's beak, and eventually he was released back to the wild.
Wow.
So, using that as a bit of a guide as to what can work,
Yeah. How does this feel?
I've got this.
Wow.
So this is a surfboard repair kit.
Yes.
And inside it, we've got some foam. So what we need to do is create a little sliver of beak out of foam. This is just a basic guide.
Yes.
Triangular in shape, bit of a curve on the top, and then nice and long.
Yes. Yes.
Making the beak just the right shape, that's not going to be simple. But right now, my biggest concern is how I get something that small to stay in place.
This is so skinny, I can't run anything else down the middle of that. And if you look here, the moment I put any force on the end of it, there's just no strength. And ultimately, I'm worried that at the first time he tries to fish back in the wild,
Yes.
he's just going to break it.
Yes.
It's not strong enough.
Yeah.
And that's why, all of a sudden, I'm having really big doubts as to what we can do here.
Given all the hope and expectation that I can feel in the room right now, the last thing I want to do is let the twinnies down. But this plan clearly isn't working. I'm racking my brain trying to think of what I can do next.
I'm trying to rack my brain at the moment to think of materials that we can put in there that are going to be strong enough, but also lightweight enough to do that job.
On the Sunshine Coast, Chris is struggling to come up with a solution to repair Beaky the cormorant's missing top beak.
There's obviously no doubt we're all on the same page. We want a solution for Beaky, but at the moment, the pressure's really on me to come up with it.
How do we get a fake beak made out of fiberglass or made out of some other material to be as strong as the real deal? You know, I almost need a real beak to actually create an artificial beak, because the real beak's doing the job already.
Well, actually, we've got one cormorant in the freezer. He passed away about a week ago, and he was starved to death, and he died on arrival.
So it was one you couldn't help out.
Yes, right. It was too late.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is typical Bridget and Paula to magically have a potential solution up their sleeve. It's certainly out there, but at the same time, I'm confident that with a bit of tinkering, I can make this work.
Certainly the same size.
Yeah.
Looking at this beak here, at the very least, it's something I can use as a model
Yes, that's right.
to create something
Yes.
for Beaky.
Yes.
But again, why try to change what nature's already designed? This is kind of a little bit out there. Maybe we don't need to make a model at all. Maybe we can actually use the beak.
I guess it's not too different to organ donation in people. Well, it's obviously sad that this cormorant didn't make it through his recovery. I guess the upside is the fact that his life might actually end up saving Beaky's life.
Okay, I'm excited because we may have a beak we can use.
Yes.
We'll get Beaky to the vet clinic
Yes.
and then hopefully attach an artificial beak
Yes.
to Beaky.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Hey, Christina, right? Hey, how you going? Good to see you. You know the twinnies? We've got Beaky here.
It's just a 10-minute drive to the nearby Nickel and Way Vet Clinic, where Chris is going to attempt to attach the donor beak to Beaky.
Obviously, I wouldn't have come here without a plan. I've certainly got an idea in my head, and I'm hoping it'll work in reality.
What are you going to do?
Okay, so I'm going to use the pin and drive into the base of this existing beak here.
Yes.
And then from there we're going to have to join that with some glue and then try to form some sort of seal over the top of it.
Yes.
With the twinnies reassured,
Good boy.
Chris can now begin to prepare the donor beak.
I've marked on Beaky's donor beak exactly where I need to cut. You've got to remember this beak isn't just an ornament, it's actually a highly functional piece of a bird's anatomy. And for Beaky, he's going to use it to preen himself, he's also going to use it to fish. If it's the wrong length, then all those functions just go out the window.
So the single pin, I reckon if we push that right down the middle.
The only place where this beak seems to have strength is on the outside. That's where the hardest tissue sits. But also, where the beak narrows to a point, that's where the two edges meet. That is where I'm going to have to aim now.
Yep, it's now anchoring. Now, I reckon what we do is secure that in place with some drops of tissue glue.
Yeah.
Going good?
That was awesome.
Let's have a look at our patient.
That looks pretty good.
It does. I'm happy with the level of that. I think the key is going to be flattening that right off and drilling a hole back through this supporting part. All right, let's get him ready for anaesthetic.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's get him in.
So much time and expertise has gone into the construction of this artificial beak that I should feel confident. I should know that it's going to be strong enough. But right now, I wonder, geez, is it up to the job? All right, let's get to work. All right, everything's set, that's there.
At the Nicklin Way Clinic on the Sunshine Coast, Chris is preparing to attach an artificial top beak to rescue cormorant Beaky.
Hey Beaky, and good luck little fella. The time has come and you're going to have a new transformation to your beak. We are feeling a little nervous, but we know that Dr. Chris can do it. We'll be doing that when you wake up. Thank you, Dr. Chris.
Hey, no worries. No pressure.
The devoted twinnies are anxiously watching Chris's every move as he begins anaesthetising Beaky.
Here we go. I know only too well that wild animals and anaesthetics aren't always a great combination. So today, we're just going to have to be so vigilant. We have to make sure Beaky doesn't go too deep or too light under anaesthetic.
So what I'm trying to do here is just square off this beak. The replacement beak is nice and square where it's going to join on to Beaky. We're getting a little bit of blood flow coming out here, which is actually a good sign, showing we've got nice healthy tissue right to the end.
With the beak stump now tidy, Chris can begin drilling the small hole where the pin will sit.
Let's see how the fit is. Okay, that's pretty good. I think we'll actually drill in some holes on either side of the beak and actually run some sutures in there.
This is a job that has to last, so it may seem like I'm going to extreme lengths with pins, with sutures, but really we can't take any chances. Once Beaky goes back to the wild, he's on his own and he has to have a beak that he can depend on.
That's good.
Yeah, give them a little tug. Now, I've just been thinking, we're still going to have room for rotation.
Yeah.
The fact is, right now, we need even more strength. The only way to get more strength is to fiberglass the beak. What we need is something that's actually going to set and harden almost immediately. The only thing I know that does that is something that surfboard shapers use. Is there any way you could call up anyone around here? It's the Sunshine Coast, surely there's a board shaper around here.
We can definitely do that.
Thankfully, there's a local in the room. We are on the Sunshine Coast. This is one of the great homes of surfing in Australia. So of course, there are surfboard shapers everywhere. Christina happens to know two of them, a father and son team who live just around the corner. We need some glassing done on the outside here.
Yeah.
And the quickest setting stuff you've got.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Mark and Mitch are free and jump at the chance to help out. But this isn't their normal kind of job.
Alright, it's going to go off real quick.
Okay, so I'll hold that in position. You can go about a centimetre either side. These are guys that normally work on mouths that can be 10 or even 11 foot long. So this is easily the smallest surfboard they've ever worked on.
If it stays together, it'll have just as much strength as a normal surfboard, so.
It'll stay together. We get one chance at this. If it all goes wrong, it's going to be very hard to pick up the pieces and start again. You happy with its setting?
Oh.
Really? I would probably just wait a bit more, probably 5 minutes.
Yeah.
just to be sure.
Yep. Just when today couldn't look any weirder, all of a sudden it's decided that Beaky needs to go outside, get a hit of UV light as the final step to harden up that fiberglass. Is that enough?
Yeah, it's looking good.
We've got a lot of fiberglass on there. We've got the pins on the inside plus the wires along the sides. For the first time really in days, I'm all of a sudden feeling pretty positive about Beaky's situation.
Okay, that's nice and hard there. Let's wake him up.
Yeah, let's wake him up.
Here we go. Here, buddy. Okay. Incredible. I could never have hoped that it would work out this well. It's just beautifully aligned. If you look the way it sits there, I mean, it's millimetre perfect. Come on in, girls. What do you think? You happy with that?
Yes. We're terrible for teas, I'm sorry, but they're happy teas.
I could never have thought that when I was a 5-year-old looking at a pelican with a fiberglass beak, that one day I'd emulate my dad's idea with a bit of a twist on a cormorant. But right now, I couldn't be more proud. This is a case and a patient I think I'll never forget.
Hello, Beaky. Yes. Oh, yeah. You got a weapon now, don't you?
The next day, Chris is back with the twinnies, checking up on Beaky.
Really happy there are no cracks in any of that fiberglass there. It's nice and smooth, so you won't catch it or anything.
Oh, yes.
Of course, I'm incredibly proud of this result. If we can keep Beaky healthy and using that beak and building up the confidence with it, there's no reason why he can't be released in a few weeks' time.
4 weeks. We'll see you then. And twinnies?
Yes.
4 weeks?
Yes.
I'll see you then. I'll see you soon.
And thank you so much.
You're so sweet. That's so good.
This hasn't just been a test of my veterinary abilities, it's also been a big test for my emotions and the twinnies as well. And this goodbye really says exactly what we've all been through. There are tears, but there's also hope and optimism that in a few weeks' time, Beaky gets to go home. Take care.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Perfect day, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Perfect day.
And a month after performing a beak transplant on a rescued cormorant, Chris is back in Queensland for one final visit.
It's hard to believe that after everything we've been through, we're finally here. This is the day Beaky's getting released. Recognise this little face?
Oh, wow, look at him. Little Beaky. Oh, how awesome is that?
Beaky is being released at Tangalooma Island Resort on Moreton Island, where he was originally found washed ashore by eco-ranger Susan.
Bit different to the last time you saw him, huh?
Yeah, he was just so skinny and he just had that very small beak.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that is so amazing.
All right, well, I think it's time.
Beaky has his little face pressed up against the mesh of his carry bag. Clearly, this day is something he's also been looking forward to.
That beak is as solid as it was the day we did it.
That's right.
And so given that, he's cleared for takeoff.
This day is one of my true highlights as a vet. But even though it means so much to me, I know for the twinnies, they've put in so many hours. So truly, this moment belongs to them.
I wouldn't bring back out here if it wasn't for Dr. Chris. No. You got a second chance of life.
See you, buddy. You're with them now.
Looking around the beach, it's almost as though the rest of the cormorants know that one of their own is coming home.
Okay. You let him go.
It was a very, very emotional because we thought there was no hope for him to be released back to the wild.
Hey guys, remember me? He's going straight for the water.
Yes.
He does look genuinely thrilled though.
Yes.
Everything about his movement is just excitement.
Yes.
This is exactly why you take the chances that you do, why you believe in an idea, because sometimes magic happens. And for me, and I'm sure the twinnies, the magic is in seeing Beaky rush towards that water, just with absolute delight in his eyes. He's home.
Hi, I'm Dr. Danny Dusek from Bondi Vet. If you love our show and want to see more, plus some amazing content about pets and how to care for them, hit the subscribe button. Click that little notification bell and we'll see you on our next video.